Hello, this is Lance Cleveland. I'm going over the territories issue in the Premier plugin for YouTech Associates. When I got on the development site that you set up for me, I noticed immediately that Store Locator Plus was not up to date to 4.7.4, which is an update that you'll want to have installed. Also, Power and Premier are very much outdated. Premier 4.509 should be updated somewhere along the line. Since 4.509 there was a patch that would affect territories, and as I had mentioned in a previous email, make sure your plugins are updated. These are not updated, so I went ahead and updated those to the latest version. And whenever you have a plugin that's not updated with Store Locator Plus, you should get this type of notification automatically. Sometimes the WordPress processor does not handle a large number of plugins with custom activations like you have here, and it will lose connections with the update servers. But on my plugins, because of that, you will specifically see a note down here in bold that says latest production version and the version number, which yours had 4.509 listed here, and it said latest production version 4.7.1. So I just went ahead and did the update. Just by clicking deactivate, it forces this update box to appear. And then I updated both of them in line. So these are both standard production releases of 4.7.1. So let's go on to the problem here. We go to locations, and the comment was that preferred mechanical was not coming up when you changed the territory to anything outside of 100 miles. So you can see here preferred mechanical set to 200 miles over here in the sidebar. That's just a quick preview, but let's look at the details of that. So here's preferred mechanical. I've set the territory to 200 miles and updated it, and you can see it updated the bounding box. It includes Las Vegas, Nevada, and Tucson, Arizona within that box. And you can see down here that this is updated properly. So with that set to 200 miles, I can now come out to the main site. Let me find the page that you've got this on here. And hopefully this is the same page you're talking about. I didn't get a list of the URLs. So I'm just making an educated guess that this is the page. Let's see, find contractors nearest you. Let's view that page. I'm assuming this is the correct one. And if we search somewhere that's on the fringe, well, let's see. First, let's try Tucson, Arizona. That's in a 100-mile bounding box. And for Tucson, Arizona, preferred mechanical should show up, and they're there. So they service anything in Tucson. And we can now try something a little bit further that is definitely outside of a 100-mile radius or a 100-mile bounding box, because bounding boxes are not radius, but they're actually a square bounding box. And Las Vegas shows up. And if we scroll down, preferred mechanical definitely shows up as servicing that location. And again, if we go back in here and look at the bounding box, Las Vegas is within that distance, even though it is 259 miles away. That's because we opted, when we discussed this implementation, for going for rectangular territories instead of radius. So 259 miles radial circumference, but it is inside that bounding box, and you can see Las Vegas right here is within that bounding box. So that appears to be working correctly. If I set it back to 100 miles, it should change this bounding box to what it was originally. So let's go ahead and do that. This is where you had this set on the staging site when I first got into it. Server's being a little bit slow. It's unusual. It wasn't doing that earlier today, but I guess this server's just a little bit busy at the moment. So we can come in and check this bounding box. You should see it's a lot smaller. We can rerun that test, and if the test is working correctly for territories, Tucson should be within the bounding box and Las Vegas should be outside of it. This server is really not liking it. By the way, while this server is thinking about it, you have something else that's running maps on this site with an API key. You can see this is an error message coming up on all your admin panels for Store Locator Plus. That means you have something else, another plugin or something in your theme that's loading Google Maps API on every single page, including Store Locator Plus admin pages, which it should not be doing. So you may want to dig into that and figure out what else is running Google API keys, because it can interfere with map previews and those sort of things. So that's definitely something that's worth looking into. So let's see, preferred mechanical. Let's just check this bounding box. Yeah, something's not happy on the loading of the page. The server's timing out. Anyway, let's see if we can get it to come up on the front end. That's just a server load problem. Not going to dig into that for this video. That's not what we're trying to investigate here. All right, so let's bring up the page here. Contractors nearest you. Hopefully our bounding box is set correctly. Just going to go on faith that that update worked and made the bounding box smaller in this case. Yeah, these page loads of server is really not having fun at the moment. This was unusually slow compared to the tests I ran just before shooting this video. Here we go. Let's try Tucson. Should come up with preferred mechanical. There it is. And now with that smaller bounding box, we can do Las Vegas. And that should be outside of the bounding box now, and it's not showing up. So that's what we'd expect. So that appears to be working correctly. By the way, side note, there is an option to turn this off when I use my scroll wheel, not have it scroll the map. That's actually a setting under the Experience Map tab. So if that's something you want to enable or disable, that's where it is. So appears to be working correctly. Again, check to make sure that your plugins are all updated to the latest production version, 4.7.1 of Power, 4.7.1 of Premiere, and 4.7.4 of Store Locator Plus. Also, if you have any other questions, please follow up at the support@storelocatorplus.com email that I'll send this video along with. That will go to everyone in the support team, so if I'm not available, someone else can hopefully help you and respond. Thanks.